What's a secret you can only share with online strangers? Welcome to the House of Reddit. Hope you enjoy this video. What's a secret you can only share with online strangers? I've had to put down many elder pets. The last one was my Doberman with end-stage cancer. Our regular vet, we used for about 15 years, couldn't fit her in and suggested I just drop her off for when they had a minute. That was inconceivable to me. She was in a lot of pain and struggling. So I called another vet, told them the situation, and they said, "Come right over, you can come in the back door so you don't have to go through the lobby." When I got there, they had a private room with a comfy bed on the floor. The vet said he was going to give her an injection that would make her relaxed, feel good, and drowse off. He would give us about 15 minutes to sleep, then he'd be back for the final shot. He turned the lights off as he left, leaving just a dim, quiet room and us to snuggle. She did relax, she clearly was feeling good, even wagged her tail as she put her head on my leg and just sighed like, phew. Then she fell asleep. He came back in a few minutes and gave her the last shot. She was never frightened. I was furious that I never knew this was an option for pets before, and still think of all the frightened pets I've had to be strong for while they lived their last moments. Needless to say, we switched vet clinics that day. Doctor here, I'm sorry to hear about your friend, but that's just not true. I've never heard of a stimulant causing cancer or making it worse. In fact, I really don't get what anyone could possibly mean by making cancer worse. There's nowhere near enough data out there to support anything like this accelerating cancer, and I want to know what sort of doctor would even tell you that. Honestly, I think you're a good friend. I take stimulants daily, believe me. Based on my own experience and the experiences of friends, a lot of people who take stimulants are struggling, and I think you were trying to help her. I am curious though, how old was she and what type of cancer was it? I maintain it wasn't your fault, but that info can help drive the point home. Edit. Besides that, if she ended up taking it daily, she had to get a new source for it. Since I'm assuming most people don't have the money to buy enough of it illegally to take every day for years, there's a good chance it means she saw an actual doctor who thought she would benefit from it and prescribed it. I'll admit I'm making a lot of assumptions in my responses, but this is my perspective. I recently talked with a doctor because I'm supporting someone with depression. Their depression isn't the typical "I am worthless, there's a voice in my head that tells me I'm not good enough, why even bother, I'm so sad or emotionally unstable all the time, etc." Their main symptom is anhedonia, aka loss of feelings of pleasure, interest, and motivation. This might be what you have. I asked the doctor if there was a difference in how these two manifestations of depression are treated, and he said yes. It was a very short visit, so I didn't get details, but your girlfriend/friends/family probably think you have the more obvious type of depression. Anhedonia sucks, but there is still help and options. Currently I'm researching meds. SSRIs seem to help less, since they mainly help people with emotional swings and anxiety. Wellbutrin is one medication I've flagged as something that may help. There is a lot of other antidepressant meds that are not SSRIs that I haven't researched yet. Stress also may play a factor in developing anhedonia. I suggest working with a therapist to identify major stressors and how to manage stress levels. Chronic high stress levels can numb you out, to the extent that you don't even notice anymore, because if you don't feel much of anything, how would you know you feel stressed? And if your memory is affected by chronic fatigue and depression, how would you remember what it felt like to feel anything else? Self-assessment becomes more difficult, that's why it's so important to work with a professional. Go see a doctor. Get the blood work done, then get on some treatment plan with meds plus therapy. When I was 17 I was hit by a car, and sometimes I wish it had done visible damage, broken something or anything really. I was hit side on at 30 miles per hour. I flipped over the bonnet and smacked my head on a metal railing before hitting the ground. At the time they just glued my head back together, had a quick glimpse under my shirt and said I had just bruised my spine. The next year I was still in pain, and the doctor sent me to physio, who told me that I have a tilted pelvis. Multiple doctors, physio people and a chiropractor all agree that it is tilted, as proven by one leg being longer than the other, plus it's noticeable if I stand up straight. My problem now is that whenever I go to the doctors, I'm told I'm too young to be near constant pain, or I'm too young for it to be an actual problem. I once was told that my pain is my own fault because I don't swim 6 times a week. If that car had put me in a wheelchair I'd still be in pain and it would be awful, but I'd actually get help. I never graduated college. I paid $200 and ordered a fake degree and had it sent to my parents' house. They totally believed it. I lied to my girlfriend at the time and all my friends. I was already on my 5th year of college with a realistic 1.5 years left. I fucked around a ton in college with a bunch of D's and F's that wouldn't count and I couldn't handle anymore. I just never went back. I lied to my parents and told them I was so embarrassed that I was a 5th year student, that I didn't care to go to graduation ceremony. Also, all my friends were already gone. They also believed it. It still weighs on my conscience all the time. Whenever people talk about college and ask me, I tell them I went to college but rarely ever mention graduating unless they straight up ask me what year I graduated. I lie as a last resort. Looking back, I would have died to be able to graduate with all my friends and actually see my parents cheer as I walked on stage. If I could go back in time, I would study my ass off and just finish the damn degree. It's not worth me going back to college just to complete my degree. I now run my own business and pull in a 6-figure salary. Before that, I climbed the corporate ladder. The fear of being exposed and being forever defined a college failure motivated me to work my ass off. I wanted to bury that lie so deep in success that nobody dares even bothers to ask me about college. I probably would never be in the position I am in if I never lied about graduating college. I look at pictures of horrific crime scenes as a way to ground myself and be thankful that I don't have to see or experience of that dark side of humanity in person. I don't enjoy gore at all. In fact, it puts a lump in my throat every time I see these awful images, but it makes me realize how good I have it. That's not something I have to see. Puts everything into perspective, you know. It also reminds me of how fragile the human body is, how easy it is for any of us to just be a part of an accident and before you know it, a life is gone. All those years of memories and experiences and love and loss and pain and triumph just to end up as a lifeless crumpled bag of skin, meat and bone. I can't share this with anyone I actually know though, because everyone would look at me like I was a serial killer Lamau. Deep down I feel like I don't really want or need any friends. It's not that I don't like the friends I have or have horrible friends, they're all solid relationships. But sometimes I go a week or two without answering my messages and realize that I don't actually enjoy speaking to anyone or having regular contact. I hate the pressure of replying to messages or speaking to people about their lives, which is incredibly selfish of me, and I feel as though the only real emotional attachment I have to anyone is my mother, brother, sister and myself. I feel burdened by any other form of emotional investment, but what kind of fucking bitch would I be to just cut off every single one of my friends for no other reason than I just don't care that much? I also don't understand why I feel like this, because like I said, they're strong friendships, some of which I've had for at least 10 years. For reference, I'm 27. Also, I desperately miss cocaine. My wife of 13 years is cheating on me. She hasn't physically had sex with anyone, or met for that matter, but she is chatting with men online. I gained access to her email, Facebook, phone, etc. without her knowing. Here's the kicker. I don't want to tell her I know, because our sex life is now through the fucking roof. We went from 1 to 2 times a month to now 4 to 5 times per week. Also, some of the men she's talking to online, well, she's actually talking to me. I found out she's on Tinder, so I made a fake Tinder account and we matched. Been talking to her for a few weeks. Asking her all sorts of crazy shit she's done, etc. I also made a Craigslist ad through Activity Partners and she responded to it. When I was like 6 to 8, my dog was really sick and had to go to the vet. Earlier that night I had snacked my dog some of my dinner because she looked hungry. I stayed at home with my mom and sister whilst my dad took her to the vet. I'm not 100% sure of this because my memory isn't very good. Tomorrow they came home without my dog and I said what was wrong. They said she was staying the night, so I waited until tomorrow really scared and sad. Next day I got told she had to get put down or live on in a lot of pain, so my parents had her put down. Ever since that day I have blamed myself for killing my dog by feeding her. I made a throwaway cause I can't tell anyone. 2 years ago, when I was 23, I lived with 3 roommates. I got super wasted at this party, but one of my roommates was in much worse condition than I was. I walked, more like carried, her home at like 3 a.m. and tried to get her into bed so she can wake up safely with her huge hangover. I did all the stuff they tell you to do, turn them on their side and put a pillow behind them so they don't roll on their back. Put a bucket and a glass of water within arm's reach. Put a towel on the bed where they might throw up. However, when I was about to go to bed myself, she did the one thing I haven't told anyone except her. With the covers up, she pulled down her pants, Told me she had to go to the bathroom, and took a huge shit in her bed, then rolled on the floor and passed out. I honestly didn't know what to do, so I figured if no one knows, this doesn't have to turn into anything. So I grabbed a plastic bag and picked up the shit. It was 2 huge logs BTW, I can't stress the size enough, threw all the sheets in a big garbage bag, threw them in the trash can in the back, threw new sheets on the bed, put a pillow under her head, and left. For that entire week I was the only one who took the garbage and recycling out to the back, just to make sure no one knew. I told her in the morning when she asked, but I haven't told anyone else. I die inside every time I remember it because it's a hilarious story to tell, but everyone I'd tell knows who she is. I'm scared to tell my family, I'm scared that they'll say I'm lying. I'm afraid they're going to be mad at me. Or say that it was so long ago. It doesn't matter now. Or that they'll say, forgive and forget. It still makes me feel horrible. My cousin used to touch me inappropriately when I was staying at my aunt's house. I tried to keep my distance but he always got near me. I always told him to stop but he never did. I was about 7 and he was either 9 or 10. After I went back to my parents, after a year or two, I was terrified to go back to my aunt's house. Before I went I was planning on murdering him in their farm. Near their peach trees. But when I went, he wasn't doing it anymore. I don't know what made him change, but what he did scarred me. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. If you have any suggestions for future videos, please let us know in the comments below. Turn on the notifications to know when we post new videos. Thank you for coming to the House of Reddit.